Welcome to the ongoing lecture series on international business. Today we will discuss international business environment and this is part 1. In part 1 we will cover the following topics: business environment, national environment and international or foreign environment, components of international environment, and I'll take only one component in this first part, and that is physical or natural environment. Concept of business environment. Now, business works in an environment and business is a dynamic activity. It is influenced by the environment around it. Business organizations therefore scan the environment regularly and make plans accordingly. So, it is affected by the environment, also it affects the environment. Environmental scanning is important and it is a systematic analysis of information to determine which factors present in the environment will affect the working of the organization. So, in an organization, they do environmental scanning on a regular basis to determine the factors which may affect the working of the organization. SWOT analysis is one of the way of doing environmental scanning. Definition of business environment. One popular definition given by B.O. Wheeler is: business environment is the total of all things external to firms and industries which affect their organization and operations. So, it is talking about anything beyond the boundaries of the organization can be considered as an external environment or environment. But nowadays we are also talking about the internal environment. But what factors and forces which have an impact on the life and development of a firm, they are identified and they are considered as its business environment. Characteristics of business environment. You must have studied in your initial classes that what business environment is and what are its characteristics. Like in school also you must have studied it, and in business organization also you must have studied about the characteristic. So, here we are summing it up. One is aggregate. So, this is totality of all internal and external forces. So, we are not restricting our definition to external forces, we are considering the internal forces within the organization also as its environment, and along with the external forces they make up the business environment. So, it is a totality of both the forces. Then it is interrelated. All the elements of business environment are interrelated and interdependent. So, when we talk about the political environment, it has an impact on the legal environment, it has an impact on the social environment as well. So, all these environmental forces and factors which we will study in this lecture, they are interrelated and interdependent. When we talk about the forces, they may be general forces or specific forces. So, this is another characteristic. General forces are considered as the macro forces which affects all the organizations in an economy, and these are economic forces, social, political, legal and technological forces. When we talk about the specific forces, we consider them as micro environmental forces, and in micro forces they affect individual firm, they are specific to a particular firm. So, it is the firm's investors, firm's customers, competitors and suppliers which have an impact on the working of the firm. So, this is its immediate environment, and that is why they are considered as micro forces. Another characteristic is that business environment is dynamic. That means it keeps on changing. So, it is not static. What the environment is a few years back might be very different from what it is today, and all the industries they are affected by the changes because environment is continuously changing. Certain industries like fashion industries, they are all the more impacted by this characteristic, that is dynamicity of the environment. but other certain industries are there, like production of steel and iron. Their environment is also dynamic, but still they have a little bit of control over it, in the sense that they don't change too fast, though they are dynamic, but they don't change too fast. But when we talk about fashion industry and all, then the environment is all the more dynamic. Then another point is relative. This is a relative concept. We cannot say that the business environment is flourishing nowadays. It is positive nowadays, because it differs from country to country. It differs from time to time. So, since it differs from one country to another country, we call it relative. Another is intertemporal, that means time is also important when we are talking about business environment, because business environment changes over time. So, it does not remain static. The situation changes too fast. If we talk about the stock exchange and the different indices and the price of the shares, we will find that it is continuously changing, and it has an impact on the working of an organization. So, in certain areas it is changing too fast over time, and in certain areas this is a slow process, as we are talking about certain industries. Then it is contextual, that is, it provides a framework within which the firm operates. So, you cannot consider a firm in isolation, because it is working in an environment, and in which environment it is working, in that context that will be analyzed. Then another point is uncertain. Now, since it is dynamic, since it is changing too fast, then it is difficult to forecast what will happen next. So, that gives uncertainty to business environment, and still the organizations, they are coming out with various techniques to predict the future, but still it is not 100% predictable, and that leads to uncertainty. And even if you plan, the plans may go hayway after certain period of time, because the forecast may go wrong, or certain dramatic changes may happen in a scenario. Then business environment can be studied from two perspectives, and since we are talking about international business environment, we will first study the domestic environment and then the international business environment. Domestic or national business environment, when we are talking about international business, then why we are even discussing domestic environment? Because in international business also, the firm's home country environment is important, whether it is promoting the firms to go beyond the boundaries of the country or not. So, that is why the firm's home country, which is considered as the domestic environment, must have to be studied. So, domestic environment in international business refers to the internal home country factors that influence a company's decision and operations when it expands into foreign markets. Now, this includes the country's economy, legal system, culture and other domestic specific elements. So, it means the micro forces and the macro forces working in the home environment has an impact on the organization. So, that is why even if the firm is international, going international, its home country environment which is the domestic environment, must be studied. Understanding and managing the domestic environment is crucial for international success, as it can impact various aspects of international business. Now, when we talk about the international business environment, it is the aggregate of all the factors, forces and institutions which influence the functioning and performance of a global firm. And here we are not talking only about the domestic environment, we are talking about the environment in each of the country where the firm is working, and also the global environment. So, it includes the social, political, legal, cultural, economic environment of all the countries where the firm operates. For an international company, the macro environment of home as well as that of host country will have impact on its operations. Unfamiliarity of the environment in the host country creates confusion and increases the risk for the company. Now, environment of international business, we will discuss the different elements. When we talk about, we have said that when we are talking about an international business organization, then their domestic environment as well as the foreign environment or international environment is important. But beside that, the internal environment of the firm is also important. So, this can be studied from 4 perspective or 4 levels. So, the environment of a international business has 4 different types of environment to deal with. The first is internal environment, and that is the capability of the firm, its mission, vision, commitment, competence. This is the first stage or environment of the international firm, and that is the internal environment. So, the organization should take care of this internal environment. The second level is the domestic environment, which we have studied just now, and that is the home country environment. So, considers the home country, micro and macro forces in the home country, like micro forces like suppliers, customers and competitors, macro forces like the economic, social, political, legal, technology and technological environment. The third level is the foreign environment or the international environment of the countries where the firm is operating. So, this refers to the environment of the country in which the firm wants to do business. So, all the micro and macro forces operating in that foreign country will be part of the foreign environment. And lastly, it is the global environment. Now, global environment in this, whatever is happening in the global scenario, whether it is recessionary conditions or the world bodies like WTO agreements, international treaties, conventions and protocols, all this is part of global environment. So, when we are doing international business, we have to take care of these 4 levels of business environment. Then we will discuss the factors affecting business environment. Now, what factors they affect business environment? It may be internal factors or external factors. Internal factors are controllable and includes mission, policies, decisions taken by the management, people working in the organization. So, that is the internal factor. When we talk about the external factors, they are uncontrollable and includes the micro and macro environmental factors, which we have discussed and we will discuss in detail later on. Still, when we talk about micro environment factors are those that directly influence a business, such as customers, suppliers, competitors and the public, and they are affecting one individual firm. When we talk about macro environment forces are broader and affects the whole economy, particular sector or region, and it includes economic, technological, social, political and environmental factors that indirectly affect a business. If we look into this diagram, we will find that first in the hub there is a company, and in the company there are the internal factors, that is the company's own employees as well as its mission, vision, objectives, everything, resources, everything. Then comes the micro factors. Micro are like the competitors, the government, the public, your suppliers. So, they are they make up the micro environment. And when we talk about the macro environment is broader in the sense that all the forces which is affecting the whole of the economy or all the organizations working in the economy, they are affected by these macro forces like the demographic, economic, natural or physical environment, political, technological, cultural environment. So, we will discuss them in detail later on. Then comes the components of international environment. Here we will discuss the major macro forces, that is physical or natural environment, economic environment, social environment, cultural environment, political environment, legal or regulatory environment and technological environment. But in this first part we will concentrate on physical or natural environment. Whatever is there in the nature is provided by the nature are the part of physical environment. The Mother Earth has not bestowed every place with equal amount of resources or equal amount of air, water, land, climate. They differ from one place to another. The quality of these resources differ from one place to another. So, physical environment refers to the natural world and the conditions that surround humans, including air, water, land and climate. The physical environmental factors encompassing natural resources, climate and geographical location significantly impact international business operations and strategies. These factors can influence everything from production cost and logistics to market demand and environmental regulations. And also you have to do product modification according to the physical or natural environment of a place. Physical environmental factors in international business may be natural or maybe man-made elements also that influence a company's operation in a foreign country. So, usually we believe that these are the natural elements, but in some of the authors they said that even man-made elements like infrastructure built in a country can be part of physical environment. These factors include geographical features, climate, natural resources, even infrastructure. As we said that man-made things can also come under this, but generally it is whatever is natural is considered here, and environmental regulations, all of which can affect a business's ability to operate efficiently and sustainably. So, they form part of physical or natural environment. The physical environment varies from country to country and within a country varies from region to region. So, if we take the example of our country, that is India, which is vast, we find that the climate conditions, weather, they vary from one area to another. And that has an impact on what is being produced or grown in a particular area. Also, when we talk about countries, the difference is all the more greater. For example, countries near equator have hot climate and hence have no demand for heaters. Or if we are taking a country which is nearer to poles, the climate condition is different, and there you need to market a different type of product. So, what are the components of physical or natural environment? First category is geographical factors, which is the very basic element of physical or natural environment. So, in geographical factors, one is topography. Mountains, terrains, deserts or coastal regions can impact transportation, construction and logistics. So, they have an impact on working of an organization. When organization is thinking about sending goods to a far-flung place, then obviously the topography will come into picture, whether it is easier to reach there or it will be expensive to reach there. All these decisions are taken on the basis of this geographical factor. Another is climate. Extreme temperatures, heavy rainfall or seasonal variations can affect product storage, transportation and even labor productivity. Now, climate decides the what kind of product will be demanded in that particular time. Also, you will see that some of the tourist places get heavy footfall of tourists in some of the climate and not in others. So, it has an impact on tourism also. Natural resources. Availability of raw materials, energy sources and fertile land can influence production costs and the types of industries that can thrive. So, this if natural resources are in abundance in one of the place, that type of organization which is dealing in that natural resource will thrive over there. The second category of physical or natural environment component is infrastructure factors. Previously, it was not considered as a part of physical or natural environment, but in some of the books, in some of the authors are talking about even including some man-made factors like infrastructure factors. First in that is transportation networks. How developed is the transportation network in a particular place? The quality of roads, railways, ports and airports directly impacts the efficiency and cost of moving goods and people. The second infrastructure factor is communication infrastructure. Reliable telecommunications networks are crucial for business communication and data transfer. Another is public utilities. Access to clean water, electricity and sanitation can affect business operations and employee health. The third category of physical or natural environment is environmental regulations. So, first we have discussed whatever may be there in a particular country, but then the environmental regulations in that country which is controlling the use of those natural resources, that has to be considered by the international business organization. So, first in that is pollution control. Strict environmental regulations can increase compliance cost and impact business decisions. So, we find that in most of the developed countries, Euro norms are there for pollution control in vehicles. And in India also we have certification like nowadays we are talking about Bharat 5 or Bharat 6 certified cars or vehicles which can run in metro cities. So, in certain countries such type of regulations are not there. You can do business over there without incurring these type of costs. But in countries where such regulations are there, be it on pollution control or use of resources and all, there you have to strictly follow these environmental regulations. Then the second is waste management. Handling waste properly is crucial and regulations vary significantly across countries. In third world countries, they are not even thinking about waste management at present, but in developed and developing countries, if you are doing business, you have to invest heavily in waste management also. Another is resource protection. So, environmental regulations may be there for resource protections, and such regulations are related to natural resource extraction and conservation, which can impact the business activities. So, you have certain guidelines or limits in certain countries that this much of natural resources can be extracted, not beyond that. So, you have to follow that. Then there is another category of physical or natural environment, and that is the natural disasters. So, a business organization working in different countries, they have to take care of the natural disasters also, what will be their what recourse they will take if a natural disaster strikes. Also they have to think about the countries and the countries which are prone to certain disasters, like earthquake prone countries are there, like Japan is an earthquake prone country. So, when you are doing business with Japan, you have to take care of that particular problem. So, earthquakes, floods, typhoons, these are the natural disasters. These events can disrupt supply chains, damage infrastructure and even lead to business closures. Another natural disaster can be caused by climate change. Long-term climate changes can impact agricultural production, coastal areas and overall business stability. So, nowadays global standards are coming up so that to monitor the climate change, and also have a regulation whereby the organizations which are working and which is throwing or emitting carbon in the environment, they should restrict it. So, different protocols are there. Kyoto protocol is there, which is limiting the countries on carbon emission. So, in the companies are also forced by the government that they should not emit, or they should emit whatever gases they are emitting at a permissible level, and if it is beyond that, there will be repercussions. So, long term climate change can impact agricultural production, coastal areas and overall business stability. So, that has to be taken care of. There are certain other considerations also, like the population density. The concentration of people in a given area can influence market size and labor availability. And you will find that in certain countries the population density is more. So, there the demand for the product may be also higher, and the international business organization, they take care of these things, that where the demand is higher, like the BRICS country, the Brazil, Russia, India, then China and South Africa, there the population density is higher, and there is chances of since more density or the overall population is higher, more number of buyers will be there. Smaller countries like Bangladesh have a high population density. So, even Japan, because the land is limited, the density is higher. Then water availability is another consideration. Water scarcity can pose challenges for industries that require large quantities of water, such as agriculture and manufacturing. In many industries, water is a must, like in leather industry also, you need a huge amount of water. So, if it is available in abundance in a place, then the that kind of industry will thrive over there. Now, the impact of physical environment on international business. We have talked about the different elements of physical environment in an international business. Now, we are talking about its impact. High operational cost is the first impact. Poor infrastructure, harsh climates and environmental regulations can significantly increase the operating costs. So, the company might have to invest a lot in product adaptation to adapting it to the need of a particular area because of a different climatic condition or physical environment. So, that will mount the cost for the company. Logistics and supply chain. Geographic factors and infrastructure limitations can make it challenging to manage global supply chains. In some of the terrains, the difficulty is quite high, and there you cannot have a supply chain, and because of that they have logistic or supply chain problems. Product adaptation. Businesses may need to adapt their products or packaging to meet the specific needs of a foreign market environment. Also, there is sustainability concerns. Growing environmental awareness requires businesses to consider their environmental impact and adopt sustainable practices, but it may again lead to more designing the product accordingly, also investing in research and development. Let us summarize this lecture. So, business environment is the total of all the things external to firms and industries which affect their organization and operation. The characteristics of business environment are aggregate, interrelated, general and specific forces, dynamic, relative, intertemporal, contextual and uncertain. Environment of international business includes internal environment, domestic, international and global environment. Factors affecting business environment are the internal factors and external micro and macro factors. Components of international environment are physical or natural, economic, social, cultural, political, legal and technological environment. The physical environment refers to the natural world and the conditions that surround humans, including air, water, land and climate. And components of physical or natural environment includes the geographical factors, infrastructure factors, environmental regulations and natural resources. Physical environment has an impact on the operational costs, logistics and supply chain, and also leads to product adaptations along with sustainability concerns. Thank you, students.